or wanted to court her, whatever. You know, it's something I think I really want to take back to our people. Was the very first thing that was said, and the pastor of the church, well, actually they were both from the pastor of the church that we were at, and he talked about how he welcomed us to his building, and he said, you know, this is a big auditorium, but he said, now with all of you in it as Christians, this is a family room.
My favorite moment from yesterday is when Francis Chan came out on the stage, and not so much about the Ephesians passage that he shared, but that he really led with vulnerability, and he gave permission for his whole auditorium full of pastors and teachers and worship leaders, the permission to question, why am I doing what I'm doing? What's most important? And how do I really need to focus on just God being the center and me being fully alive and fully bathed and fully rooted in His power and living a life that's full of intimacy. That's the most important thing. That was the best moment for me yesterday.
They talked about having a single seed having a generational impact, and just that things we do now, we might not know the outcome of that for decades and decades or in our lifetime, but there are benefits that are out of our realm that we just don't even realize. From every decision we make, from every seed we plant, from a conversation, we just have to keep doing things to God's glory and let Him take control.
Well, one of the big points for me yesterday was really the first guy, Mark Patterson was his name. He was speaking, and part of his talk was about planting seeds, and he used the mustard seed example, that the mustard seed, when it gets planted, it grows into a tree, and years later the branches of that tree become home for birds. And really, he went on much bigger than that even. He was talking about maybe you change life for generations to come, which is kind of mind-blowing. And even further than that, maybe you change the world.
From Pete Briscoe that spoke to end out our day yesterday, and he shared just that we would have Christ within us, that we can go so far on our flesh and then our flesh will fail, and if we do not have Christ living within us, we cannot do anything. God is the vine and we are the branches, and if we do not have Him living within us, we're going to reach a point where we can't do it on our own. And I know that, but to be reminded of that over and over again is what I need, and to depend on Him in everything, because without Him I can do nothing.
I think for me the most impactful concept was a paragraph without a subject line, and how that would relate to my life, just going through life without a specific purpose. And we looked at Colossians 1, where we realize that Christ is in me. And once I've accepted Jesus, He is living in me, and that changes everything. He becomes the subject to the paragraph of my life.
Hey, I think one of the highlights for me from yesterday was hearing Francis Chan just talk a little bit about his time where he was recently in China, and talking about how he saw a small group of people there just really being the church and really rooted in love, like Ephesians 3 talks about. And I think that just stuck with me as the church and as people, our heart and our roots have to be deep in love and deep in faith and deep in Christ. So I think that's my biggest takeaway, is just remembering the faith that we have, and that we've got to have deep roots in the faith and the hope in Jesus Christ.